Good afternoon. I am Jason King, and this is Talking Business with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados, or ICAB. Last Monday, March 18th, Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Mia Amor-Motley, in her capacity as Minister of Finance, Economic Affairs and Investment, delivered the financial statement and budgetary proposals for 2024. ICAB recognizes the tone that the Prime Minister sought to deliver during the 2024 financial statement and budgetary proposals. From the outset, she explained that there would be no new taxes. As a country, we were all made aware of the transformative changes proposed in late 2023 through the ministerial statement that addressed the Pillar 2 changes. ICAB is also aware that the changes to the Income Tax Act were drafted and were sent to Parliament to address Pillar 2, but the legislative changes have not yet passed. There was also a proviso mentioned by the Prime Minister that there could be tweaks to some contributions later in the year. Again, no more information was released. Nonetheless, ICAB is pleased that the government is not only looking towards revenue collection measures, but has a focus on growth and productivity, which continues to feature highly on the agenda. The Prime Minister spoke about amending legislation to stimulate growth in the fund sector, and our members in the global business sector would welcome this initiative. She also made mention of transfer pricing legislation. However, there has been slow movement on the legislation to support such an initiative, and we are left in the dark as to its stage of development and rollout. ICAB acknowledges and welcomes the reduction of the burden of reporting and compliance obligations for economic substance by our members and other professionals. The Prime Minister's comments reinforced our thoughts, as similar changes made under Pillar 2 by other jurisdictions reduce such obligation. These changes will perhaps be viewed positively by the global business sector and support our country's ability to pivot in a sector that is critical to our continued growth and development. The presentation featured several tax credits and rebates to drive investment in several areas to facilitate growth in our country. Growth is critical to our country as we must make several investments to enhance our resilience and to increase the number of Barbadians who are able to share in the wealth of our country. Like previous budget presentations, there was no immediate guidance as to the criteria for the rebates and credits. We have a very long history of budgets that have not been followed with timely legislative changes. Despite the absence of such legislative changes, ICAB is particularly pleased with this government's focus on building the capacity of our country to adapt and be more resilient. The Prime Minister also spoke to a Barbados National Resilience Plan. Though we are uncertain as to the level of consultation that informed this plan, we are hopeful that further details about this plan and the expectations of civic and social society in the near term will be shared with the wider public. One of the key underlying messages reinforced throughout the presentation to not only the private sector but to all Barbadians was that of a national standard to do our best. And while she did not explicitly speak to public sector reform, she did address projects that have already started, such as Business Barbados, aimed at business facilitation and the process re-engineering of the Corporate Affairs and Intellectual Property Office. She spoke to land transactions and highlighted title searches and clearance certificates, delaying the timely settlement of transactions. She also spoke about regulation being fit for purpose and shared that it should not take years to settle a rate case for one of our utilities. Just a few weeks ago, there was quite a bit of dialogue between the members of the Social Partnership on the Labour Clauses Concessions Bill 2024, and it is therefore not surprising that the government has introduced conditions for the renewal of tax concessions. ICAB has said in other forums and will reiterate that all companies and businesses that receive concessions should adhere to all Barbadian laws. We believe that legislation alone is not sufficient. There's a need for effective monitoring of the concessions, and our government should be more diligent in this effort. We, however, encourage government to be balanced in their approach. Ensure that decisions for the non-renewal of concessions are based on observable data and information, and timely action be taken in decisions regarding the renewals. The Prime Minister's presentation was almost 5 hours, and she touched on many areas. And with a lot being said, ICAB is concerned that there is much action that will be required to fully implement and effect these necessary changes. The continued commitment to maintain the well-being of all Barbadians was well received, and we look forward to the engagement and action of our government to deliver on such commitments. I am Jason King, and this is Talking Business with ICAB.